What I did on the skill development side is I challenged things. I didn't just say, oh, my Hall of Fame coach or one of my great coaches growing up taught me this way, this is the right way and the only way. I said, is there a better way? And then I found from coaching for so long over the years is that every kid learns differently.
What's the one thing that you would like to give as a gift to your former self if you were going back into high school?
I think about this often is in high school, for some reason, I was always trying to prove other people wrong instead of prove myself right.
Nick Tintle, former pro lacrosse player, coach, and founder of the Lacrosse Barn.
From winning championships on the field to training the next generation of athletes, Coach Tintle brings a powerful mix of grit, mindset, and mentorship to everything he does.
Getting a phone call that your best friend's murdered is not a call that you want to get. When you're in your darkest of times, like, where did you dig to say, hey, I'm going to keep going?
I don't think I had anywhere to dig. I think I hit rock. So it was either lay there and feel sorry for yourself or start climbing out of it. I just thankfully didn't give up, knowing that I was on the right path. But I realized that I had more of an impact on kids with what I was teaching them that I didn't know I was teaching them through lacrosse. Lacrosse was just a tool.
Why did you want to downsize? What was the reason why you wanted to kind of go to an exclusive coaching environment for high performance lacrosse?
I wanted to downsize because I wanted to...
On this episode of the Coach's Room podcast, you're going to hear from a good friend of mine, Nick Tintle. Nick, arguably one of the greatest lacrosse athletes to ever pick up a stick, won a world championship as a professional lacrosse player, and what he's built today is what we know as like the Disney world of lacrosse. If you want to become the best at what you do on the lacrosse field, then you need to go to the Lacrosse Barn. But on this episode, what I really want you to dive into is what happens from somebody that literally hits rock bottom, not from something that he did, but something that happens to him, and what does he do with it? We're action, we're live. Oh man, a lot of fun. Welcome to the show, Nick Tintle, the man, the myth, the legend. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So this is going to be fun for me. The last time we were in this building, we actually had to break in, and it did not look like this. Remember that?
Yeah, we broke into the Bowl building that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore. They did some construction, ripped the whole thing out. Now this is what, Disney World for lacrosse athletes?
Yeah, it's one of the only one I know of in the country. So yeah, we made it geared specifically towards lacrosse athletes.
Now, when I remember getting the call from you because we were going through, your business and your success that you've had, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of, your journey. But I remember getting this call that was like, hey, Cav, like, I'm frustrated right now with where I am, and I'm in a position right now in my life, married, got this whole thing in a really good spot, had a beautiful gym. It was big too. Athlete's Choice was very large, 2 stories, had a huge field, big ass weight room. It was amazing, right? And you've done so much good work there in California. And you called me and you said, I'm going to downsize. I'm gonna go to like a super small box, one-on-one lesson, super high level performance, work with people that I want to work with, that want to like separate themselves from everyone else. There's a better way of doing it. What was in your head when you were saying like, I'm going to go small? Why did you do that?
I guess we can rewind. What happened is I got a good deal on that 21,000 square foot gym because they were going to put a retirement home there. So I came in, and so my 8,000 square foot gym, we were actually crushing it, doing really well. And then we sat down to do a 10-year lease, and the woman just stopped me and said, we're taking the building back for their own business. So with that being said, I was kind of, this is like in the beginning of my entrepreneurial like journey. And I was right there. And then all of a sudden I had no building to do what I was doing. So I was actually coaching the kids up that day, and the place was jam packed. And this dad comes up to me and goes, did you ever think about going bigger? And I like turn around and go, funny that you mentioned that. And then he had a building that we looked at, and they were going to take it down within 5 years. So I had a 5-year lease, but it gave me leverage to kind of build my own price. So we were paying, $20,000 a month for that place. And then the city of Dove and Kodo fought it so hard that after 5 years, the construction team went away. They threw environmental clauses and all this stuff at it. So when I went to renegotiate that lease with 6 months to go on my 5-year lease plan, they they put it to market value, and market value was like 47,000 a month.
A little different.
So I knew that wasn't going to work unless I just upcharge people,
Crazy amount. It wasn't what you were trying to do.
Didn't make sense.
But you call me and you say, hey, I want to downsize so I could get to like a more of exclusive coaching environment. Why did you want to downsize? What was the reason why you wanted to kind of go to an exclusive coaching environment for high performance lacrosse?
I wanted to downsize because I wanted to lessen the headache and be more on the field and more present on the field. At one point I had 35 employees or something like that. And it just wasn't what I started this whole thing for.
Wasn't the reason. Like, you're a coach, you're a technician. You have a deep desire for mastery.
Yes.
And you want to know, like, there's a better way of doing things, high skill, high demand, high quality of work. That's just what you're known for. And you wanted to go small so you could have that exclusive touch.
I want to be super intimate with my training. I think I think all sports are studied on such a higher level. Even though lacrosse is the oldest sport in America, we haven't even scratched the surface.
Is that true?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know lacrosse existed until I went to college.
It's a Native American sport. It was the first sport ever.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is that where there's history?
Yeah, so in the new gym, that's why we created the history. We wanted to teach and educate the people of where the game came from. It's called the medicine game, the creator's game. It's really special to me, and I wanted to share that historical piece to it, that people, especially in Dallas and smaller communities that are just kind of more starting up in lacrosse. Even though Dallas is it's been here, but it's not a Northeast type sport. So. I just wanted to put the history in. That's why we put it in this building. But going back to going from 5,000 square feet, I know I told you I was going to downsize. Everything was going to be perfect. And then I think 2 weeks later, I came to Dallas and, I got an opportunity to look at this place. And, it's one of those moments in your life where you're going to downsize. You got everything kind of drawn out perfectly. And you're like, this is it. And then something comes out of nowhere. And it's like, like the reason me going from that idea to, an 80,000 square foot gym is...
you're competing with Jerry's World here in Dallas, but for lacrosse. Like, you decided to build the Dallas Star, but for lacrosse. This place is huge.
Yeah. So I decided to go for it because the question that I asked myself was like, when I'm on my deathbed years from now, would I regret this decision? And the answer was unanimously yes. I would regret it if I didn't take the leap of faith. I had no idea. Like, I'm not a guy that plans out things perfectly. I just I go for it and I figure it out on the way. And that's what kind of this was. I walked in here and, to be honest, this place was a shithole.
Oh man, it was bad. I mean, I remember when we broke in, it was bad.
Yeah, you saw it. Even when I showed my wife. So I moved my wife from California to Dallas. She's born in California.
And the crazy part, it was Laguna Beach. It was like one of the prettiest places in the world. It's right. I remember, you and I had a nice romantic walk. It was like my times with Nick. But it was like literally like good mountaintops. I remember we had lunch. It was like mountains and then like the beach, and then we walked down a little cabin and get great ice cream. What was that ice cream spot?
The gelato spot.
Oh man, I can't forget it. I know. You look like you're catching up to me, by the way. That's not good. You were always the guy that it's like, I know. The best part about it is, like, if I'm not playing, if I don't have a date, right? If I'm not playing, I look like I'm not an athlete. Yeah. But if I'm like 6 weeks in, I'm in camp and I'm training, they're like, I look like a different human being. I've always laughed because you've always looked like you played. You've always been athletic. So I appreciate that you're catching up to me. It makes me feel good that we're getting to that age.
Pod going on right now. Don't worry, it'll be changed soon.
Is it?
We're working on it.
Let's put this live. Let's put some bets out there, right? We got to do this. So I've known you for a long time, and it's been a lot of fun to kind of watch a relationship change over the years. But specifically, coming from a conversation that really started on Instagram saying like, hey, how do you paint your lines? Which is ironic that had already happened, that trouble that you dealt with. But it's like, you had asked me that question, then we opened up this kind of like real conversation. I remember I did a athlete acceleration speed day with Pat Beath, and then Terry Nicole Rodriguez was on the field. You were on there coaching, and it's really easy to like point out the not athletes, and then it's like, there's you are like, yeah, that white boy can move. Didn't know didn't know you could move like that. That's pretty good. That's all right. Even when Michael Vick says that you're an athlete, then you're doing something right.
Yes, that's true.
So, but now we're in the largest, most exclusive first-class facility for lacrosse in the world called the Lacrosse Barn. You have this mission to really make lacrosse a space to where if you want to really get into it, this is the spot that you could have that same exclusivity. You could have the same high touch work, but specifically focus on lacrosse, not multi-sport. Yeah, there's a lot of other athletes that do come in here and they kind of cross-pollinate the structure of the building, but they're solely focused on everything at the highest level for lacrosse. When we build businesses, I tell people, like, you want to build a business, either vertically, or you vertically integrate like lacrosse and it's everything for lacrosse, or horizontally where you do speed training, but for all sports. Because if you start to niche down too soon, what happens is you lose the ability to learn things from other sports and learn how to adapt a really good cut from one position to another position, even though it's the same human movement, but in a different avenue because it's on a field with a stick or doing something else. You had worked with a lot of variety of sports. You decided to go, I want to have that same high touch level of work, but I want to make sure that it houses everything that's possible for a lacrosse player. So if they came in here, they would be able to get first class everything. And it's obviously from like just the attention to detail of like, you say, hey, I want to replace these covers. I want to make sure I got the cowhide. I got a natural net, like the logo, I think there's so much stories behind your vision for this and bringing it to life. Why, like, where does this vision come from? Because this is, a lot of people could not see this. You're the only one, I think, in the world similar to your Disney World, Walt Disney concept, which is he didn't get to live and see it happen. He saw it happen in his dreams and his papers and blueprints. You're now building it, Field of Dreams style. But where did the vision come from for this?
I think it comes back from when I was growing up. I was always training, with football coaches or, all the facilities were baseball, football, soccer. There was never a feeling of a home base for lacrosse athletes. And when I first arrived in California, I don't think it was the time. I think it was too early. My 12 years in California, the sport exploded. And anywhere you have good football, good soccer on the girls' side, like lacrosse follows pretty quickly.
Why?
Athletes. You need to be like, and I don't think lacrosse gets credit for this, but lacrosse is so many sports wrapped up in one. There's not like specific positions. There are specific positions, but like you have to have an innate ability to move no matter what position you're at. And I think it involves so much skill set to play the game. So I wanted to create a gym that was specific to lacrosse players because I think it was time for us to have a home.
If you are an executive leader that is looking to get in the best shape of your life from a health standpoint and want the same coaches in your corner that are working with professional athletes, then reach out. Athlete HQ.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is the lacrosse home. Like the Lacrosse Barn is like where, if you are a lacrosse athlete or a parent of a lacrosse athlete and you don't bring your kid here, there are massive missed opportunities for their development and their projection of their careers in this sport because they don't know, they've never seen first class work unless they come here. This is so different here because what you've done is you brought the best in the world. Like, we are the same age. I know we don't take your hat off for everybody. There you go. So he looks like an old guy. Look at that body, just a mess, right?
Oh my goodness.
But we're the same age. But you just retired and my career ended, before it really even got started. 20 years ago, my career ended. Not that long, maybe 17, but you just retired not too long ago, and putting how many pro years under your belt as a professional athlete?
7.
So, but you had a big hiatus from the sport and then you came back to it.
Yeah.
And you were a part of like that initial like PLL kind of launch. It's really, now it's like taking the world by storm. You've always kept yourself in shape. You've now been able to take the best lacrosse players, the best lacrosse coaches, your friends, and bring them into this building to apply the best practices to each position specifically, and then layer on top of the human movement side and the mental side and the training program. Like, there's not a college lacrosse program in the United States that has a better development system than the Lacrosse Barn, because it's the best of all of those in this building.
And I think going off that is when I started this venture, I looked at it differently. When I was in California, clubs were starting to pop up everywhere. Kids were, it became a CIF sport in California, and coaching on the sideline was what everyone was doing. And I was like, well, like, if you look at football, like, football players are built in the weight room. They're built with speed, and lacrosse athletes are not doing any of that. They're just playing and playing and playing. And I think you have to do that. Obviously, like, the most important thing is be skilled.
Well, it's a skill-oriented sport.
Exactly.
If you don't have really good skill, you will lose. Like, I think good athletes could get away with that because football is not a super high skill demanding sport. Baseball, way more skill demanding. Lacrosse is a very skill demanding and dependent sport.
Exactly. And I think there's a prerequisite with that stick in your hand to get good at that first. So, but going back to the point is that guys weren't spending enough time on their speed, their strength, and then their individual skill work. Like, so if I want to be the best attackman, I need to work on my own, on my skill set, in these different positions, from the low wing or from X. Middies need to work on down the alleys and sweeps. Defenders need to work on angling and positioning and just being athletic, because they're bigger dudes and they're defending really quick people as an attackman. So I looked at it different. I was like, where's the development side of a lacrosse athlete? Where's that going? Like I said, it's such an understudied sport. Like, everything is measured in baseball. Everything's measured in football. There's specific coaches for every position in football: lineman, defensive back, linebacker, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, so on.
And scheme based too. So, like, you have better coaches based upon certain schemes to fit certain positions.
And what we did growing up is I would go to a game and I would mimic my favorite player. I'd go in my backyard and I'd watch the angles that he took, the deceptive moves that he did, or where he did it, when he did it, why he did it. And I would just replicate it and do it on my own. So with some guided help, I think we could have bridged the gap between playing for high level club or high school, and bridge that gap. And then being on the West Coast, when it's a little bit more of a newer sport and they're trying to compete with the Northeast, I found that pocket of like, well, let's develop these athletes into actually lacrosse athletes, right? So we're bridging the gap. Like, yeah, we had football players that were the best on the lacrosse team, but they still weren't great lacrosse players.
Yeah.
They got it done, but in my 10, 12 years out in California, you actually saw great athletes turn into great lacrosse athletes. So the skill development part was my niche on going in there and bridging the gap between, them playing and developing as an athlete and a skilled lacrosse player.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Jim Brown approach, right? You got a poster downstairs signed by him, and it's in the building, which is great. But you're talking about arguably one of the greatest football players that ever lived, played lacrosse, and it's just because he would, at some level, like, out athletic everybody else and just bulldoze over people.
Well, they made a rule because of him. He used to, like, because he was such a big
monster.
He used to chest the ball and just over people and stuff. So you can't chest the ball anymore because of him. But it's funny you say that, though, because we get a lot of, like, lacrosse is, like you said, such a skilled sport. We get a lot of really good athletes that find it too late.
Because they're not skilled enough.
And they get frustrated because they see guys that they're better athletically wise, but they're not. They can't. You need that year or two to dial in your stick so your athleticism can take over. Because it was frustrating for me. I was athletic. You put a football in my hand, I ran around people, I scored touchdowns. Any other sport, I kind of picked up a little bit quicker. Lacrosse challenged the crap out of me.
Did it? Yeah, because you're a really good athlete. And I say that with a high scrutiny of people. I don't say a lot of people are good athletes, particularly white people. So I am very proud of you.
I hated lacrosse in the beginning.
Yeah, because you're a freak athlete. You really are. And you pick up things quickly.
But I'm dropping the ball. I can't catch the ball. Every time I throw the ball, it goes over some guy's head. I can't even scoop the ball. Like, the stick has to become another limb of yours. So until that becomes comfortable, where it becomes one on the own of your body, your athleticism does nothing for you. You could maybe run down the field, but if someone checks you, you don't know how to hold the ball. So I see a lot of really high level athletes that pick it up too late and then they give it up too early. if they just stuck with it for a year, and I know that's a long time, like when you're used to picking something up and just being dominant.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that, I think, is the toughest obstacle for the lacrosse growth. Is you see really high level athletes pick it up late and it's almost too late.
If you are an online trainer or coach looking to scale your business online and provide nutrition lessons, coaching, or training to clients, the #1 software for personal trainers, Coach Catalyst.
Yeah, so I didn't know much about lacrosse, and then into coaching, the first lacrosse athlete I looked at, I was like, I had 2 first lacrosse players that I ever saw and work with, and one of them came in for a camp, and it was inside of a baseball facility, and I just saw him whip the ball around. Like, that's an athlete. Like, that guy's a freak. I don't know much about lacrosse, but that's it. And everyone's like, you work with him? I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Is he good? And it was Paul Rabel. So it's like, all right, got lucky, right? And it's like, he knows a thing or two, but you don't know that. You just look at him as like, that's a really good athlete. And then on the other side, the first female lacrosse athlete that I worked with was Kate Robinson, and she's an All-American. She's currently right now a super successful college lacrosse coach at University of Chicago. But also the way she's on the skill side too. And she's an incredible skill. But I think what's fascinating to think about, her dad was a Hall of Fame basketball player. Her mom was the first female athletic director in NCAA. Her grandfather, the Nike basketball coach of the year, is named after her grandfather. So it's like, that's a legacy of winners and of coaches. And all she did is taking the same kind of discipline in those environments and bring it to her sport, and then learned high development of skill, and then worked her way in and made her really, really successful. So I did not have a lot of experience with lacrosse. The first 2 athletes I had, one is freak athlete, obviously super high skill too, but freak athlete. The other one, really, really high skill and just a winner mindset. And you combine those 2 together, and it's amazing to see, what could happen in their development.
Mm-hmm.
So now, we're here. This place is unbelievable. I'm super proud of it. I think from a design standpoint, the vision that you have, it's come to life. I do encourage everyone to be here. But you are a technician. I mean, yeah, you've ran businesses. I think that probably you took your East Coast mentality, like you're a New Yorker, and you took that to California, and it favored you quite well. That hard work, that hard hat mentality, taking that New York mentality, that tough working class structure to kind of the Laguna Beach, Orange County area, probably separated you from everybody else because it made it probably easier. And I saw that was one of the things that was a separator. But what also separated you is that you are a technician. You're a master of your craft. What is how did where did the hard work come from for you? Where did that start?
I guess it started with my upbringing. My dad was my coach for forever. And a lot of people don't know this, but my dad was a great coach. His dad is a Hall of Fame coach in the Levittown arena for football.
Did they do a documentary?
Yeah, I don't know if they got halted, but they were doing a documentary on him. And then everybody that coached me in lacrosse somehow knew my grandfather. They coached him. Or he coached them, and so down the ladder. And then my uncle has been in Dallas, and he's been in Dallas for so long. He was here for the beginning of lacrosse,
where I first kind of migrated into the city.
He's had an outstanding career as a coach. It's funny, when I told him I was coming to the Lacrosse Barn or building the Lacrosse Barn in Texas, he goes, "Well, welcome to Texas. Now you're the second best coach in Texas."
No, well, let's challenge that. You gonna take that? He's all right.
He's good. He's a good coach.
I appreciate it.
But I think it was in my blood to coach. And then when long story short, I fell out of love with lacrosse. And then, when I found my passion to coaching, because I went back in the speed and strength world, and lacrosse found me again. So I started coaching some girls and guys in California, and then sticks back in my hand, and then I'm coaching on the sideline again. And then also I'm getting an itch to play again. So I go back and play pro and whatnot. But what I did on the skill development side is I challenged things. I didn't just say, "Oh, my Hall of Fame coach or one of my great coaches growing up taught me this way. This is the right way and the only way." I said, "Is there a better way?" And then I found from coaching for so long over the years is that every kid learns differently. So I could coach a roll dodge 1,000 different ways because I've met 1,000 different kids that have to learn it a different way. So I just broke down, and then with my speed background and shin angles and foot strikes and all the different things that go into it, I just kind of, and then I started looking at other coaches from other sports and how they're coaching skill positions. And I kind of took what they were doing and then put it into the lacrosse world and then tested it and tested it and tested it. And then really what I did over so many years is I got rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you deconstructed the movements to what would be best for the skill acquisition. And then you started to like chip away and be like, that's unnecessary. That doesn't have a transfer. Anything that didn't have a transfer, I saw you start to eliminate. And you could see that evolution in your movement and coaching career too, both from a skill development and also from a speed standpoint, because you need to be skilled to be able to move. So you went from like learning the skill of speed to then applying speed to the skill. And then in order to do that second wave, you started to remove a lot of the stuff that was slowing someone down.
Exactly. And the whole goal at the whole time is how do I get the person in front of me from point A to point Z faster? So like whatever didn't work, I just got it out of the way.
It's amazing because a lot of people are like, I'm in pain. It's like, well, take the rock out of the shoe. Like this isn't helping you. And if something's not serving you, you got to take it out. And I think one of the things that you've done in your life too, is you've done that with your friends. Anything that didn't serve you, you started to remove them. You also started to do that in your business. You started to do that with certain people. You're a very loyal person. And this is something that I commend you for. But there's also like two-way loyalty, right? It's like, if I'm not loyal to your goals and your aspirations, then you needed to start to eliminate that because it's not serving the priorities in your life. You're slow to do it sometimes, but you do start to remove things out of your life that don't serve your greater purpose at a higher level. That's a hard decision, whether that we remove an element of something out of our life, of a thought process or an action that's not making us healthy, or a person that's toxic to an environment. How hard was it for you to start to eliminate those things that now we see it happen in the skill side, but how hard was it for you to eliminate some of the things that weren't serving your greater goal?
Well, it comes down to you're a coach at the end of the day, so you think you can fix problems. So for me, whether I hired the wrong person or was around the wrong people giving me advice, it was hard for me to move on from those people in a faster, way, because I felt, going back to being a coach, like you see what the athlete can be, you see what they can do, so you're always getting the benefit of the doubt, but I guess I was slow to doing that on the business side. But I've learned over the years, you got to go through it to learn it. So
what about life? What about when, there's something that's happening to you and you need to eliminate it? Well, what advice would you give to young athletes to eliminate the thing that doesn't serve them?
That's a great question. I guess you have to be so specific in your goals and be so, hyper focused. And then along that journey, if anything slows you down, you just get rid of it or get rid of that.
Yeah, that's easier said than done. I think the difficulty too is,
I think it's a return on investment, right? So like the way I look at athletes, I could always bring it back to athletes. FOMO is the biggest problem in lacrosse right now. Fear of missing out. Parents think they have to do everything. They have to go to this tournament, this camp, this clinic, this prospect camp. It's wild. What I would like to do is be like, look, there's a foolproof plan of like, what's the return on the investment? What does your kid want out of it first? And then let's like reverse engineer a plan of like getting there quickly without spending a college scholarship before you even step on foot on a campus, right? Like, and I'm not going to lie, like my services are expensive, but they're a way better return on your investment, both mentally, physically, spiritually, whether that kid goes on to play at a higher level or not, he's going to learn life lessons. He's going to get really good, or she's going to get really good at the game of lacrosse, but they're going to learn a lot more. And I think that investment goes a lot further than just running around and trying to keep up with the Joneses for everything.
If you are a small business that believes that you are better than your competition, but you are not recognized for how good you are, and you want to build your brand and drive attention, need a brand new website, or want just general help on marketing? Sites at Scale.
Yeah. And I've watched you eliminate, movements, drills that are just a waste of time, food that's just a waste of time, people, environments, so that you could achieve what you want to achieve. You give yourself a date and a goal, you become one of the most tenacious people I've ever met. And you're just like, I'm going to go get it. And you're just going to bulldoze through things out of the way. Sometimes you break yourself, to do that. It's just your personality. Do you see that is not in the culture today? Do you see that there's kids today that are not just going to be like, I'm just going to go get it out of my way, I'm going to make it happen? Or where do you see the current culture and landscape of sports with the youth today for what their goals are and how bad do they want it to make it happen?
That's another great question. I think there's still a ton of athletes that know how to put their head down and grind and really work for it. I just don't think there's the direction anymore.
Yeah, there's three things that you need as a coach. Number one, you need to have perspective. We call it the parallax of coaching. If I do not have the perspective, I'm in trouble. But before that, you need to have the attention of the athlete. So your credibility, your background, your experience, your knowledge gives you attention first. You're loud. There's a lot of people that are way more loud than you on social media, the way bigger followings, but they suck at their job. So once you get closer to them, it's like, so this is a mess. I can't get better. And again, return on investment, doing the wrong thing. But you have attention first, then you have perspective. It's my view as a coach, because my perspective on the experience and age and opportunities that I've seen, I know what you need when you need it. So I'm not going to give you a bunch of wasted shit. And then the third thing is you need direction. You need a clear map to be able to help you get from point A to point B.
And I think you need to build trust with that athlete and that family during that process too, right? I think I've earned trust over the years of just being successful in what I do, but earning the trust of the athlete, when it clicks that they go, all right, everything I'm doing with coach is working. When it like they see, all right, I'm working my tail off. Like so many people are afraid to work hard because they don't, the future is unknown.
Yeah. The outcome is not predictable.
Yeah.
And what I have been able to do in my career and what you've been able to do in your career is create predictable, successful models. Is like, if you have this input, I have a process that is very clearly a winning process and the outcome is predictable. But if you don't do the input, then it doesn't matter. So the issue that I run into is, why would you do an input that is working with somebody that has a horrible process and their outcome not only is not predictable, but it's predictably bad. Mm-hmm. Where in your environment, you've actually created predictability on the winning level for the work. I think that when you see transfer, it's really easy to identify a successful model or not. And you have the ability to be like, if you do this, they're faster to success because the transfer's there and parents see that.
I agree. Going off that is like, we have kids flying all over the world to come train here now. We've had kids from the UK, Czech Republic, all over the country. They spend 3-4 sessions. It's about 4.5 to 6 hours over a 2 or 3 days span. They're exhausted at the end because it's very demanding, but every time, and I've had parents come in and tell me exactly what their kid needs. And I'm like, just let me do my thing. And we could talk after for sure. And I get their input, of course, but I have a system and process for it. And when they leave, I mean, after the first session, parents usually text me or come up to me and be like, my kid just came out to me and said they learned more in 1.5 hours than they have in their entire lacrosse career.
Yeah, I think the difficulty is we didn't have this when we were growing up. Like, we just did it. And we've had a lot of success. I had amazing coaches growing up. I was very lucky, similar to yourself. I mean, I was coached by Hall of Famers. My dad played college ball. Like, I was very lucky. You know, my high school coach, and on my positional coach, played 10 years in the NFL, coached 15. I'm pretty lucky, right? You know, my pastor, played 10 years in the league. So I'm very fortunate to have people that were in my life that were just at the most elite level. And there's not a disconnect between what is really elite. I think the biggest thing that I could tell to people where there's problems, a lot of people think that average is the enemy. average is not even in the room. Like where the world that I operate in, average doesn't even exist. I don't even surround myself with people that are average. And you have business owners and people that are talking like average is the enemy. Listen, average is like, we just drive by average.
Mhm.
I move by average. The biggest enemy is the illusion that you're great when you're actually just good.
I agree 100% with that one.
Most people think that they're great, buddy. You're not even like, you're just good. Like you're okay.
They don't understand the levels.
Yeah.
Of
We see things at a different perspective. And I think it goes back to,
You know what I actually do? I do that with my high school kids a lot. And I'm getting to the point where I can't do it anymore because I'm getting too old. But when they get to that point of where they think their shit don't stink and they're just like, on top of the world and they're doing well, but they think they're like the next thing, I suit up.
yeah, so I'll tell you.
I teach them lessons. You know what I do? I become the bad guy. Be like, oh yeah, coach, you played pro ball. I'm like, I just wanted to show you that there's a lot of levels to this.
And are you able, so right now, 2028 Olympics, lacrosse is going to be in it. You were arguably one of the top 100 lacrosse players in the world at one time. Could you make that team right? Like, could you make that team in 2028?
The USA team?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Because I'm old. Man.
Exactly. So like, that's the point. I have to bring that up because you are old, but I have to bring that up.
And my thing was speed and I've slowed down a little bit.
I am bringing that up because you got to catch people at the right windows and we have an athletic potential and that window does change over time. And I think that it's important to express that because athletes, if you're like, oh my God, but you're the best, it's like, dude, you're like, I was, but we're not at that point anymore. And there's a different part of that. So they need to see it, but they also need to know that they need to get beyond that level too. And that's our job as coaches. So, but I think going back, it's also fascinating because you look at like your career, you were a stud at North Carolina. You played college ball there. You're driving away from campus and you get a phone call, that you make the All-American, game, All-Star game and all that stuff. Like what goes through your head when you're like, I'm done with lacrosse in your mind's eye? Like, what goes through your head? And then you get all these calls and then things change. Cause let's talk a little bit about that career journey. Cause I think some people don't understand some of the troubles that you went through and still actually came out in a really good place. These are just chapters of your life, but they are very impressive chapters. So let's discuss that. Like, what was that like? What's that story like of when?
I remember like yesterday, the last game I ever played in a Carolina uniform was at our home field and we were playing Navy and we got upset by Navy and that was the last time I'll ever put the Carolina uniform on. And that's when I realized like, all right, lacrosse is in the rearview mirror and I'm over it. I sat on the bench on Fetzer Field, not Fetzer. Fetzer? Is that the old soccer stadium? We're at Anson Durns Field now. But I sat on that bench for, I don't know.
Absolute legendary human being, just so we all know. It's really clear.
I sat on that field for about an hour. My head in my hands, just couldn't believe that it was over. But I was checked out mentally, physically from lacrosse, and I don't know if like all these people are chasing D1, 2, 3 scholarships or D1. Let's say it's D1 or bust. Like your kid might not, like you don't want to go to a D1 program and sit for 4 years. I'll tell you that. I could barely make it through and I played all 4 years, right? So
I'll never forget it. Like I was like 12th on the depth chart. I'm like, what do you mean? There's not even a 12th on the depth chart. Like, let's go. And I
to do all that work and then not have the satisfaction of playing in the game against someone.
I literally almost lost my mind my first few like weeks at camp, realizing like it didn't matter if you were, I was a high school All-American. It didn't matter where you were. Everybody was that good. For me, I was beating people up to get on a roster spot. And then once I did it, I'm like, all right, cool. I cracked into this thing and I was able to have like, the sip of coffee of my career that I was able to kind of experience. And I'm grateful for it. But along that way, like I remember I was angry. I was stressed. I was frustrated. I was pissed off at the world. Like they do not see my talent. I am better than all of these guys above me. I did not want to hit a running back in practice. I wanted to hit my own linebackers. I wanted to hit anybody I played with just to knock them out so that I could hurt them. Because I remember I hurt 2 running backs in practice and then I got kind of pulled out on some of like drills. And I'm like, coach, like, let's flip it. Give me the ball. Let me play running back because I need to start knocking guys off my lip because if he can't hurt a running back, then why is he in front of me? And that was my mentality. Like I was so pissed. I was going to do anything to get on that field because I had also never experienced being on the bench. Like my entire life, I was good. I had never experienced what it's like to be like, hey, you'll get your turn. What the fuck do you mean I'm going to get my turn? My term is now. There's no way that guy's better than me. And I had to like fight my way into that environment. And then once I did, it's like, all right, don't let, like, you realize you have a bunch of people coming for your spot.
Yep.
But you earned the right to play. You were very good in those environments. You're driving away from that field and you get phone calls saying,
Well, we were
hey,
driving back from the Outer Banks, and my coach was fired that year, and I got called by, me and one other guy made the North-South All-Star game, and they're like, are you guys coming? And we're like, what are you talking about? They're like, you guys made the North-South All-Star game. We didn't even know. Our coach didn't tell us. But at that point, I probably wouldn't have went anyway. I was so burnt out of lacrosse. I didn't touch a lacrosse stick for 5-6 years after that. I didn't find my passion for it again till years later. And then I started that pursuit to go back as a pro, as a 30-year-old rookie. And that was just a whole nother journey that I went on for that.
yeah, I mean, we could probably capture that at another time. You've lived many different lives. I do believe that you are a cat. Because you definitely have 9 lives. You probably are at number 7. This building may be number 8. So let's understand what we have in front of us. But you've probably at least cashed in at least 5 to 6 of those lives that and mind you, those are the ones that I've seen and been a part of. So just being very cautious as you now have a beautiful wife and a building and what you've been able to do is pour into so many people. You're making a huge impact in the world. You're living a life that matters. I'm very proud of the logo. I mean, actually Jetmore, who designed my custom sneakers, was the person that designed your logo. And I remember when you were building it, we talked about it, whether it be like the website or like the branding.
Well, tell them the story about the logo. It took months.
And
you were getting pissed at me.
I was so angry. Yeah, because this is a perfectionist, right? And it's like, dude, it's not that important. It's not that important. But when you look around and you realize the meaning of the logo, and there was such an intricate way of taking kind of the bull, the lacrosse barn, the stick, and like, Nick, what are you trying to do? It's like, you're trying to take 7 things. It's like, I'm very bad at this. I try to take 10 pounds of shit, put it in a 5-pound bag, and then I wonder why shit's all over the place. You were trying to take 200 pounds of things and put it in, but it was about meaningful things.
Yeah.
And it was quite the opposite of the way you coach, which is removing stuff. You wanted to put all of this into it. And particularly the Lacrosse Barn logo has such meaning to it that it's a completely different thing. It doesn't have like the athlete choice Carolina blue. We both graduated from that. You actually graduated. I didn't. You remind me of that regularly. This asshole sends pictures of his diploma to my mother and videotapes
I
it.
should have put the diploma in here today.
You should have. Yeah, he does it. He goes, hey, Cam, I just want to remind you, I don't know if I got something you don't have. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like my own mom. Like, what's wrong with you?
I might have stolen it. I don't know if I got it.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. So I say that because, we talk about like putting so much into this, and you got the lacrosse head, you have the bull's head, but you have the netting. And in the netting of this lacrosse thing is housed a couple hidden messages. What is that?
It's the number 88, which in the beginning when we were doing this, I wanted it so I didn't want it to be noticed, right? I wanted it for myself. So we put it in the mesh, and it's a number 88, and it's for my buddy that passed away. I think most of the people that follow me now know the story, but it kind of turned into more than that. And then, I have a trouble time sharing that story. It was a very tough time in my life, but I feel like I have to share it more because kids are going through some tough times, and it's selfish for me not to share it. But then we ended up putting the 88s on all the chairs because I wanted him to have every seat in the house. So that lacrosse, so with Athlete's Choice, I bought the business, and it was someone else's ideas and vision, and I took it over and made it my own. When I got this place, you saw it was a shithole. It was a clean slate. I knew I could do everything.
There's nothing clean about this place when you bought it.
No.
Now the vision was clean, and you became, you really did. You became a Picasso and a Salvador Dali with the artwork of your vision to lacrosse, and you created something out of nothing. and it had never been done before too.
And it's also just the way I do things. So if I commit to something, I go all the way until I am completely emotionally, physically, and mentally and spiritually drained. Like, so when this place was done and then business had to open, I was already depleted.
Yeah.
I was depleted. Like, I was like, oh, now I got to actually coach.
And this is just the beginning, by the way. Yeah. And this is just the beginning. And in California, you were coming off the exit 88. Today, I just drove by and we're, I was starting to laugh. I'm like, great, like another reminder, like exit Chapel Hill. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And it's amazing how the world kind of collides.
I don't know if people know that story. I haven't shared that story much, but when I bought the gym in California, I didn't realize I was getting off Oso Parkway, and Oso Parkway was exit 88. And that rocked me.
Yeah. So there's so many things that we internalize that we don't know, that we don't share with the world. I think you mentioned something about being selfish by not sharing your story.
But for me, that 88, that getting off the exit, for me, because I didn't know what I was doing at that time. I was pretty lost, even though I was buying a gym and it looked on paper that I was doing well. I was broke. I was living in California. I didn't have much direction. I
didn't know friends either. Like, you left everybody because of what happened.
That reassurance of when I said yes to this business without even looking at numbers or doing anything and just going for it, it made it so... It was so direct of a message that said, you're on the right path. And that was like the thing was like, all right, I'm on the right path. Now it's go time.
Yeah. When you go full speed, you go full speed.
Yeah.
And it's, you've taken this really, a lot of people say, hey, there's lessons in life. That's great. What happened to you and what happened to your core group of friends was horrible. Getting a phone call that your best friend's murdered is not a call that you want to get. Knowing that your life gets completely flipped upside down is not a life that you want to live. And I'm sure there was plenty of dark moments that you didn't know if you wanted to live or not. Ooh. And when you're in your darkest of times, like where did you dig to say, hey, I'm going to keep going?
I don't think I had any more to dig. I think I hit rock. So it was either, lay there and feel sorry for yourself or start climbing out of it. I honestly, I don't really have an answer for that. I just thankfully didn't give up. I mean, seeing 88s everywhere and knowing that I was on the right path, and then investing more in, so I was obsessed with breaking down lacrosse specifics and stuff like that, but I think COVID was the changing point when dark thoughts came back again. But I realized that I had more of an impact on kids with what I was teaching them that I didn't know I was teaching them through lacrosse. Lacrosse was just a tool.
It's just an avenue.
It was just the avenue that I was teaching them. But the way I was just communicating with kids during that time when they were going through tough times opened up me to a whole nother realm of why I'm actually doing it. Right. So like you always have to have a bigger purpose. The purpose became super clear during that time.
And what's really cool about that is then you kind of embody the story of, fail fast. And your game is speed. And I'm the speed king. That's my job. I've mastered the game of speed. But your job is to identify things that are holding people back and then getting them to kind of almost fail fast and fail forward was the story that you kind of took into the world working with so many other people.
I think fail fast, but not giving them space to fail though too. Because if I take away them digging a little bit, they don't learn those lessons as well, but fail faster than I did.
Yeah.
So like, cause if you don't let them, if you fix every problem for them or you're there, like you got to let them kind of figure out on their own, but just letting them know that anytime they need you or they need direction or help, you're there right there next to them. You could pick up you could help them climb out at any time or just be right by their side.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you would like to give as a gift to your former self if you were going back into high school and you wanted to give, if Coach Nick could give Nick a gift, what's the gift you would give them?
The gift that I think about this often is in high school, for some reason, I was always trying to prove other people wrong instead of prove myself right. I was giving other people too much power of telling me what I can and can't do, which was a blessing at that time because it made me who I was, right? So I can't say that was a bad thing, but I just, when you know it and you know you can succeed with something, it doesn't matter about anybody else. It matters about what you're willing to do day in and day out. And I think going back on that other question before is, I think kids need to be willing to do whatever it takes more often and be consistent with it. I mean, through my endeavors, I'm just more willing to do what it takes to get to where I want to go.
If you want to bring your professional grade studio on the road to record high quality content, Go Box Studio.
Your pain tolerance in life is significantly greater than most people's that are already successful or that need to be successful. And because of that, it also gives you the belief in yourself to take on a project that's crazy.
I used to, there was a long time, and this is when I was feeling sorry for myself. Why is everything happening to me and all this stuff?
It's when you were being a little bitch, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't compare myself to other people because they go through a lot of tough times. I went through it. I went through some, I mean, everything I challenge myself, it puts you in a, what I always come back to, it was a blessing now. Like, I learned so much from hardship that, like, when hard things happen, like, it almost excites me now.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's supposed to be this hard.
What I think
I wouldn't want it any other way now.
What I think I've seen you so much change, and by being around you a lot over a lot of time, is when something hard happens, you just go in your head like it's just another chapter. This is like, I'm writing this really cool book and story, but it's just another chapter. And then it's like, well, the chapter needs to end. I need to be able to write a new chapter. So we're going to resolve this problem. We're going to figure this out. And your ability to figure it out and your big ability to fail fast and fail forward is a very valuable thing.
I get more scared when things move smoothly.
Oh yeah, you create chaos just so that you could go back to being like, okay, I'm normal again.
I think it just worked better in chaos. Unfortunately, that is draining. So I don't.
What I think you need to understand is that some people that care a lot about you, one of them being in this room holding this mic right now, admires you for who you are, not for the things that you do, just for the person you are. And to be able to hold space with the fact that, you know, I love you for who you are, you don't need to be anything else, is really important for me to share with you. But when you create chaos so that you could thrive, because that's where you're strong, you're also hindering the relationships that you have with the people that are closest to you. And I think that I would like to challenge you to mature out of that chaos so that you could help bring other people through their own chaos. I believe a leader's job is to lead other people that trust them and believe in them into chaos, but having them believe that it's calm. And if you are creating chaos and other people that care about you see that, they are losing faith in your ability to lead them. That would be my one challenge to you, because I admire you. I love you. I laugh about like our story because you've achieved 100 times more than I have in the world of sports. If you ever came across the middle, I'd knock you the fuck out. But it's a good thing that you did it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It was 235. I mean, I would literally put my head in your chest.
And I'll just.
Yeah, he thinks he would do one of these whoop, and he would do one of these whoops into the hospital. But we would hear whoop, 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 whoop. That's what we would hear. But I think of this as like my place too for lacrosse. I look at this as kind of my home because we all know what life's like if I put a lacrosse stick in my hand.
Well, I do have to say this. I mean, you have been by my side through, I mean, you you got me back into chaos with a dual thing.
Yeah.
So, but
I made him write his book. I made him write his story so that he had to go into dark places. Sometimes you got to go into dark places to get yourself out. And oftentimes you need to be willing to do the uncomfortable stuff.
You have to do the uncomfortable work that I avoided for so long. And you got me back into that. And I hated you for it for a second. I was like, I don't want to revisit this. I want to move on with myself. But like, I had to do the deep work, which I didn't know I had to do it because I hid it away for so long, but you were there by my side the whole entire way. Like this business, like I ran so many ideas off you. You continue to help me today. So I can't thank you enough. Obviously being right by my side, doing this whole thing.
I appreciate, I think what's really cool too, and this is what's fascinating in the world of coaching is, it's like when you find someone that does something better than you, there's a little bit of jealousy and envy and everything else. Like I have so much pride, like this is better than I could have even thought you would have imagined it. Like this is real. There's like, how you have like the drawings, right? That you're like, oh, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, Nick, you realize this is like animation. This is not real. Like it's nicer than that. Yeah. And that's what's really cool. I think this is proof of it too, which is unbelievable. So I want to say thank you. I want to say I'm proud of you. I want to say congratulations. We'll probably get into some of the deeper and darker stuff at another time. Today's a day to be proud of the impact that you're making in kids' lives, but also you are putting your signature on the world of lacrosse, and I think it will change the world of lacrosse forever, and it's happening right now.
That's the main goal.
Yeah, man. Proud of you.
Thank you
so much.